Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bigger and Louder with John and Anthony. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Johnny D.
And today we got another great fun-filled episode to the recent free agencies and all across the NFL and how that kind of impacted the world and all the fans across the board. And I can safely say that I think my main man, John, here is probably the most upset fan of them all. I want John to kind of like give us his 2 cents in on this in terms of like, you know, what he thought about it, where he was when he heard about what's going on. And really just overall, just give us your 2 cents on it, man. I'm just really eager to hear this.
I'm not going to give you my 2 cents, Anthony. I'm going to give you a whole fucking pound.
A whole pound? How about a whole book? Did you write a whole book on this and your feelings?
Yeah. I'm super upset. Let me tell you that. Now, of all places to be, I'm flying home from what was for all intents and purposes, like the most fun I've had in a long time with you, bro. Like hanging out in Washingtonville and getting to catch up with you and the Pelican. And to me, it got this huge dark cloud on it when I entered the Detroit airport on the second leg of my trip. I had to take a connecting flight. So we land on the tarmac. We're rolling down, taxiing to the gate. And I get the notification that Saquon has signed with the Philadelphia fucking Eagles. And my heart, I honestly, my heart kind of like broke a little bit. I really was upset because I really liked him, man. This guy had talent out the wazoo. But this is the thing that bothered me. How the fuck do you do that? How do you do that as a New York Giant? How do you go to our biggest rival? Because the Cowboys, to me, like, whatever, man. Like, they're a joke. They're everybody's rival.
They're a joke. Be careful. Like, yeah, a lot of people don't like them. Listen, before you put your fucking foot too knee deep in shit, yes, a lot of people don't like the Cowboys because, yes, they say they're
hate the Cowboys.
I know you do.
I hate the Cowboys, that they're trash. They won't win anything with Dak. They didn't do anything during free agency. And even Des Bryant came out and said every team in the NFC East got better except the Dallas Cowboys. And this is the icing on the cake. This is the icing on the cake. Yeah. So now I get out of the airport. I get out and I'm walking through the airport. I'm through the gate and I'm shaking my head. And what do I see?
With
a shit-eating grin on his face? Yeah. I see an Eagles fan. Big Eagles sweatshirt on. He had an Eagles hat on. And he turned into his wife and saying, guess what we just got? And I just swear to God, I wanted to body slam the guy. But no, I kept on walking and I held my head in shame. And I said, how could this man do this to us? So you know what? I wish him all the best. I wish him all the best over there. But I also hope we lay him on his ass every Sunday.
John, I asked you, like, did you set your phone up to kind of get like an Amber Alert? Like, oh my God, like flashing news, like Saquon Barkley no longer.
No, I follow. No, I follow on like Instagram and on Threads and on like I don't want to even really use that X thing. But like I always see the Twitter stuff, the notifications anyway. That from Shefty and all those guys, Mike Florio, they had all posted that Saquon had signed for $26 million guaranteed. The number he wears on his chest. Now that's the thing I'll say, Anthony. Yeah, he got $26 million guaranteed. Good for you. Take the money and run.
Well, listen, like I think we've spoken about this before, and I'll say it again. Like this is a business. No matter, let me back up even further. First, this is entertainment, and yes, it's still a business. And I think we kind of prefaced this a couple of episodes ago, and I think anyone who follows football, let alone the Giants, understands that Saquon was not in the greatest situation. The best way to kind of explain like his situation, it's kind of like having top shelf rims on a 2003 Jetta, right? Like that's kind of the best way to explain it. His talents were being wasted there for a number of reasons. Like first, he came into a really shitty situation. The fact the team was on a decline and they brought him in the first round thinking, and I understand it. Like at the time, he was the best player in that draft. And the rule of thumb, if you have an opportunity, you draft the best player in the draft. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. However, is that as his team has slowly been eroding, like his talents have not been utilized probably in the sense that we all thought it was. I mean, in the beginning, he was just like a highlight reel. But in the end, like they weren't winning as many games, right? Like it didn't really make much of a difference because it was only at the time he's been with the team. They've only made the playoffs one time, which is a whole nother conversation we're going to get into. later on. But let's even back it up even further, right? Like you don't sign him to a long extension because, as we've spoken about, it's either you sign a quarterback who's, again, shown signs that he was on the up and up. And I'll say this before and I'll say it again and again. The worst thing the Giants could have done, not this season, but last season, was make the playoffs. That was the worst thing they could have done. And the reason being is because of the fact that the reason being is because you now give Daniel Jones the opportunity to basically leverage his contract by saying, hey, I got you to the playoffs under a new coaching staff, under new management, etc. So here's the thing. He basically called the Giants out and said, listen, you have two options. Either you sign me to a new deal that I want worth a lot of more money, or I'm going to test a free agent. And he actually sought out new representation that was known to get players the deals they wanted. Now, right, you got the Giants who are they're in a predicament now.
I disagree.
Okay, well, hold on. There's more to the story. You come to a crossroad, right? You have a quarterback who has been said to be like, this is the guy that we feel is going to be the longevity of this after all these coaches. And
who said that? Who said that?
Who said that?
Yes, who said that?
A lot of fans and even the staffing have been around that debating if he was, and they said we're going to give him a solid coaching staff, not just keep punching him in and outside of schemes. So
you yourself,
I never liked him. Never. Yeah. I'll be the first one to say no, never did. However, as I said, the worst thing, because he actually he came off his best season. So it's like, what do you do as an organization? You have limited cap space, right? Joe Schoen knew he was walking into a bombshell. That's a fact. So his job, as I told you, is to clean up this organization from top to bottom. Now you're at a crossroad. You either can pay your star running back, who I believe was worth the money, right? He's a solid guy. He has more potential. Yes, he came off an ACL tear, but the guy doesn't seem like he's slowing down. Or you give it to the quarterback who, again, knows the scheme. And if you let this guy walk, you have to risk the fact that he walks. Now you have to bring in another slack quarterback to kind of carry this team and learn a new offensive scheme. Now you're right back to where you were 3 seasons ago. And they said, we played safe. We gave it to the quarterback. They franchise tag Saquon last year. Here we are in 2024. They didn't want to give him the franchise tag again. He's worth the money. And they're saying, listen, he's like, I can't win with you. You guys are playing too conservative, and I understand it. But listen, I got a few more years left in me. You're not going to pay me. I'm not going to put my body through all the stress and all this work to get paid peanuts. He gets the better deal.
May I ask you a question then? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You wanted us to sign Saquon again? You wanted him back?
Right now, if you ask me would I want him back?
You wanted us to sign him. You thought he's worth $26 million in guarantees.
Currently not,
$30 million.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's a great. So I gotta be very careful.
No, it's not a gray. No.
No, it is. No, it is.
It's a yes or no. Do you think the Giants should have paid him what the Eagles paid him? Yes or no?
Yes, but at this stage with the franchises, no.
That's way wet.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
Your answer is no.
My answer is yes, but
no.
It's a yes and no. It's a yes and no.
You have no answer. You are
no. They should have given it to him 2 seasons ago, but now the team they're trying to restructure. They're revamping the offense. Here's the thing. You got to remember this. You can build a solid franchise without a star running back. Right? Like there are more holes.
You can, exactly. That is my take.
Right? Exactly.
Running backs. And look, now I don't think Saquon is a dime a dozen. I think he is a unique and special talent.
Right. Le'Veon Bell, you might compare him to Adrian Peterson, Eric Dickerson. You might even put him in bucket, you know what I mean?
No, I don't know. I would not put him into that bucket.
Maybe like Barry Sanders, right? But
I wouldn't put him in Barry Sanders' bucket. This guy gets hurt every year. This guy hasn't had the longevity. This guy hasn't had that burst. He hasn't had the success.
Barkley,
right? No. Yeah. What did I say?
Well, you said he hasn't had the same success as the other running backs.
Yes, Barkley. Exactly. Barkley hasn't had this success. So no. He hasn't had the production of an Eric Dickerson. Get the fuck out of here. Barry Sanders. Get the fuck out of here. Now, don't get me wrong. There are comparisons in body type and the way he runs to Barry Sanders. But let me get to my point on that.
Mm-hmm.
because I do not feel that they should have resigned him. I will take that stance. I don't think that he was worth the 26 million in guarantees for the Giants.
But you're sure as shit
And
upset about it, though.
well, but I'm upset because he went to the Eagles. And let me say that for everyone that's out there. I'm upset he went to the Eagles, Anthony.
So you're not upset, yeah. So just to put your point. So you're not upset the fact that he left for more money. It's just the team he landed with. That's basically
correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct. I think, like, for example, everybody that's ever left the New York Giants, like, I loved Victor Cruz. I loved.
Oh, I was a big Cruz fan. He was a.
I love Hakeem Nicks. Okay,
yeah.
I love Hakeem Nicks. I've loved like Justin Tuck, and OC and those guys, and like
that was a whole nother era, man. That was
but what do you mean? But like what I'm saying is, like, I loved those guys and wish them best when they left.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to do that with like a lot of these players, but none of those guys went to the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, I get
Commanders.
it, but I get it. Listen, remember this: first, second, and thirdly, it is a business. He's like, you're not paying me the money, and no other organizations going to pay that kind of money. The Eagles had that money to give, and you know the worst part about it is that the Eagles have situated every position they needed with the money they wanted to expense to them. So they weren't hurting for an offensive lineman or a high priced cornerback or a secondary, right? They were like, we got some money. We're pretty much situated on every position. Where are we lacking here? Could we let's upgrade our running back talent, and we can pay this guy to actually blow out the backfield now with Hurts now with their whole running gun offense. That's going to be deadly, man. I mean, again, I hate to say it. I agree
with you, man. At this point, I agree with you. I do agree with you because they have made some dangerous signings. Like, to go through some of like the Eagles signings, just the ones that I think are going to be dangerous, right? They extend some of their offensive linemen, not for nothing. They extend their kicker, right? Another 4 years.
Right.
But they signed Devontae Parker.
They also got Bryce Huff too. Don't forget about that. He's an edge rusher. 3 years, 51 million. That's right. The highest. That's the highest player they got. Listen, the realization, man. You're right. Like I agree with you. Like, they brought in players who have ties to other hot talent, whether they're in the status quo or 10 years ago. Whether you hate them or not, the Eagles have money. Like, they correctly bought players. They signed them to correct deals. And I've said before, the Giants are nowhere in their league right now. They have a lot of things to clean up, and it's not going to happen overnight. So what I'm saying is, while what I've wanted Saquon to stay, sure, we couldn't keep him in the long term. We have other holes to fill for the long term, and you're seeing they're doing that in places that the fans and the organization have been complaining about, which is the offensive line. Now, again, the Giants have attempted to fix this offensive line with free agencies last year and the year before that, and trades. Now, did it work out? Injuries were a factor. We can even say like Thomas was also another problem because he was a right tackle, and all of a sudden he wasn't like really keeping up with the steam. Again, they blame it on the coaching line, the offensive coaching staff. So again, they bring this new guy in from the Raiders to be the new offensive line coach. So again, they are correctly now they're chipping away at it correctly. It's not going to happen overnight. And I've said it before. The Giants are, in my opinion, if this pattern keeps up, which it should, under this new management and ownership, under the whole.
What pattern? The pattern of like floundering, or what is the?
No, the pattern of actually correctly purchasing players in the right spots you need, while also being mindful of the salary cap. Right? Like, they're not signing guys to mega million deals when, again, Gettleman was the reason why this whole team went to shit. Is their previous GM was on the chopping block, and he went out and spent money that they didn't have just as a last Hail Mary swing for the fences. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, he knew he was out of there anyway. That's what really created all these problems. And as a result of it, you set the team back 8 years in the hole.
So let me walk it back even further then, because I think like we have been in a pretty firm disagreement over like what's happened with the Giants and what we think the right direction is. Like, we disagree. I did like Daniel Jones. I thought it was ridiculous to pick him in the first round and where we did, but I liked that pick because I liked his characteristics of being like Eli. Now, what I think was the tipping point for the Giants, like not showing what I feel like was the right amount of perseverance, and they just cut ties, was with Tom Coughlin back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point, Anthony, for the last 7 years or like 7 seasons, we as Giants fans have seen nothing but like poor decisions since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think today, like, we can sit here and at least say, and I am confident with you that the right moves have been made. Like Devin Singletary, great. I think he is a flash, running back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He looks great. Guess who's going to be competing with Drew Lock? And I saw a quote today from the Seahawks GM on what put him over the edge on making the trade for Drew Lock. Was that they thought that he was going to have a chance to compete for a starting position here in New York with Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So from that,
what does that tell you?
So that they don't have a lot of confidence, but that they're admitting their mistake. Right?
You're right. And the reason being is because like ownership puts trust into the general manager to make the decisions that ownership can't or doesn't want to do. And they're using their judgment because they're in any sport, whether it's football or baseball or whatever it is your preference is, there's a thing that's called the intangibles that you can't just measure on a piece of paper. You're actually measuring character and grit and grind and things like that all play into a factor. Right. Yes, it's a gamble. I mean, there's no such thing as it's a for sure thing. No such thing exists. It's just where do you feel you can put most of your eggs in which basket the most to feel confident. But again, as I said before, it's like once they knew, because they knew when this whole Daniel Jones thing came about, everyone was crying for a quarterback, right? They felt like Eli was just like, he wasn't mobile. He was just like a big Magoo. Like every 3 seconds, he was getting sacked and people were complaining like, why don't you scramble? And they were like, he's not a mobile quarterback, but there wasn't an offensive line to really kind of help him out in the interim thing. That's when the team was kind of going down the shitter.
He was mobile enough on one play. He was mobile enough when it mattered.
The one play, and that's good, right? So here's the problem, as I mentioned before. Like there was no really good quarterback in that draft class. What the organization did,
quarterback available
at that draft class, right, where they needed. So what they ended up doing was they tried to recreate Eli Manning. That's what they ended up doing. Everything around Daniel Jones was like his ties to Mannings, his ties to Duke and all the coaching staff and who he's worked with. It's just like, it's all bullshit. Like that doesn't mean shit to me. Like you could tie anybody to anything, but you know something, like you got to have better football IQ, which you can't teach. Yes, I said before, if you were to put Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers together and look at like who can run the fastest 40 or who can take a hit harder, et cetera, my bet would be on Daniel Jones. But if you're asking me who can be a leader and actually dissect defenses and actually be an actual playmaker, regardless, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's got it way better between the eyes. Duke is not is a football college. It's a basketball college. If you're going to a farm system, you're going to go to the colleges that actually house the best programs. Duke is, even though it's their Division I, you do not get top talent out of there. You don't. I'm sorry. For football, you can go there for basketball because that's what they.
What? Michael Strahan. No one had come out of Michael Strahan's school. No one came out of Jerry Rice's school, bro. There's always a small school or an unknown that's out there, and they took a shot and they missed. But I do think that drafting him was not the mistake. Extending the guy, giving him $81 million guaranteed money was the mistake.
That too, yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, the Giants got fooled twice.
No, to your point, I agree. Like, are there people who actually just go unnoticed and get, just exceed the expectations? Or I agree.
Tony Romo.
Right. Yeah.
That was a great example of that.
I agree. Listen, however, like you don't do that on a gamble like that when your team's already down in the shitter. You just don't do it. Like you do that when like, okay, we can make a projection over the course of 2 to 4 years, realizing if we gamble on this guy and it fucks up, guess what? We have other options to fix this immediately. But unfortunately, the quarterback position was on the downfall. The offensive line was on the downfall. The coaching staff was all upside down, left, right, here, there, whatever. It was a gigantic mess. It was a huge mess, and it still was. And Joe Shane, who was hired to come in and fix this, he knew he's walking into a bombshell. And therefore, I'm saying I'm giving him credit by being like, okay, you're cutting the tie to people as needed. You're not making this emotional. You're realizing you have a job to do. Your job is to fix this entire team while also protecting the salary cap. And that's not going to happen overnight. He is doing the right adjustments. Even last year, he was asking players to come back for a fraction of what they were making, and they did it. They're adding, you know what I mean? So after this year, they should be more in the green to make even better decisions going forward.
I don't agree with you. I don't think that they have been putting themselves in a bad position by winning. I don't think that they have just been completely making every poor move that's known to man.
I
They
didn't
have
say
sort of
that.
like not what you said, it's what you're saying.
No,
Your
I'm not.
point
I'm
is that
neither
like
saying any of that. All I said was the worst thing that could have happened to that team is they made the playoffs because now you have players who have a bargaining chip. Now you make the playoffs, your
I don't
stats
think
are
that
up.
they're stupid enough. I don't think they're stupid enough to believe that the backing into the playoffs that the Giants did was worth $81 million. I think that they actually I'll give you my unfiltered thing about Daniel Jones. What I think about Daniel Jones, quite frankly, is he's got the yips. I
The
think
yips. What the shit is that?
I feel like he's got the football equivalent of like um there used to be this old movie with Patrick Swayze called Black Dog, right? Where like when you're driving on the road when you're an old truck driver, it's like you know it's time to retire when you see the black dog, right? And, coming, or like so I think Sam Darnold or somebody who also had this, like you can hear them coming because he got sacked so many times in his first 2 years, and for actually his third year too, right? Like one that's among the highest. That now I feel like he can't shake that feeling of constant pressure, that phantom pressure.
No, I don't. I
Which
don't
he's
buy
not
that.
like
For,
that.
no,
I gotta. I do. I do.
no. Do you know how many? But you know how many quarterbacks who were in the same position he was as a rookie, who went through the growing pains, got sacked, knocked on their ass, did things weren't going their way, got the rattles, and some
and got up and did it. Great.
Yeah,
That's not Daniel Jones. That's
right.
not
I
Daniel
agree with
Jones.
you. I agree.
So there you go. So thank you for
Exactly.
making my point. Yeah.
I listen. If anything, you're agreeing with me. I said from day one, when the day they drafted him, I actually flipped my desk over at work. I said, "You idiots! Like, what are you doing?" I said, "Like,
That's
don't
work
draft
from home
this
now.
guy."
You got kicked out of the office.
Yeah, I got kicked out of the office because they were like, "Anthony, we can." That's a no. I got a yellow card for that. That's a no. You can't do that.
All right.
You can't
Well,
do that.
look, I think that the Giants have a lot of work to do. But they did make some promising signings, right? They signed John Runyon. Okay. Yes, he's getting up there, but like, I'll take John Runyon. I thought the Jets were going to get him, but I'm glad that we picked him up. We signed a couple guys on defense. I think we're going to be making some moves, so that'll be great. But one other free agent move that I was like super happy about, like that I actually think was a great fit, was Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta, dude. I love that. Yeah, I'm a Kirk liker. I never had a thing against the guy. I thought he was a little bit cheesy. Like
Why
Russell
we think
Wilson.
cheesy?
Well, because Russell Wilson is like contrived and things like that, people say, but like it's cheesy in the sense that like his wife lays out his clothes for him, but it's so authentic. Kirk Cousins to me is authentic. Like what I think I like about him is like his wife lays out his clothes and it's authentic. Like it's not a ploy. It's not like, oh, I'm going to play into this and be some like cheesy guy, like where Russell Wilson is like faking, shaking hands or for whatever reason. Like this is, hey, I'm just like a humble, simple dude that happens to be able to sling a football pretty well. So, like, I wish him all the luck down there. Like, I don't think Atlanta's going to be that good, but they jumped to the top of the favorites in the betting odds to win the NFC South. So good for them, man. But what did you think, Tyler?
No, I like them. Listen, I like Kirk Cousins, as I call them, Kirk family members. That's the way I like to call them as, I always have a nickname for these people. I always call them Kirk family members. No, I like him. I never had anything hate for him. Yeah, I hated him was with the Commanders because he carried them pretty good. Like he just knew like how to extend plays, right? Like we had like the miracle game and was he with the Vikings who did the miracle game with Diggs? He threw that to him, right? Was that him?
He threw the ball, yeah.
Like he knew, like he can sling and gun, right? Like he's a smart quarterback. I wish him all the best. I mean, again, we're not playing him in. He's not in the division. So I'm happy. It doesn't affect me.
So what I found interesting was Drew Lock, who we just signed to compete now with Daniel Jones, came out in the same draft. They were both drafted in 2019.
Yeah. I have a bet going on to your point, I have a bet going on right now with a local friend, and he's like, Daniel Jones will start. I'm like, no, he's not. I said the fact that Tyrod Taylor had a way better starting pace than he did when Jones got hurt, and the fact that he was just drafted Lock, I said there's no fucking way he's playing the first down at this rate. The fans love Tyrod Taylor. He's more mobile. He has a better football IQ.
He signed with the Jets, bro.
He did?
Tyrod Taylor's gone.
Oh fuck.
Did I
Okay,
just
never mind.
break that news to you? That happened a couple
Yeah,
days.
you did. Listen, I've had a I listen, I there there's so much going on in the world, especially in football, that I can't keep up with it. But you know something? Best of luck, Tyrod. I loved you when you were here. You were solid. In my opinion, you're still a Q1.
He's fun, man. Veteran.
Yeah. If he was still here, like, okay, that kind of, I might lose the bet now. But I'm rooting for Lock then. I think Lock is way better. Just because I don't like Daniel Jones.
Well, I'm rooting may the best man win because that's what's going to make football better in New York. So,
Yep.
I don't know about that. But one thing that I also did hear, and I didn't believe it until I read it, like I had to actually jump on the computer to look at it. Did you hear that? Cliffhanger. Please download part 2 for more bigger and louder and the continuation of episode 9.